This is NTV.
It's the 20th day of January 2020, and as you can see, some changes taking place and will be taking place in the next few days and weeks as the tag team is back.
We certainly are back, and good to be back with you, Mark. Make sure you make a date with Mark, myself and the team every Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. This is NTV Tonight, and these are our top stories.
Tonight, the writing is on the wall for MP Babu Owino. He'll spend another week behind bars. And police are gunning for the big guns who've gone rogue.
Also tonight, Education CS George Magoha is sticking to his guns on the appointment of a Vice-Chancellor.
The interviewing entity consults with the government. It is not an information process, it is consultation.
But Professor Kiama wins the first round of the leadership battles.
Plus,
the motion has passed.
The motion will be taken to the House tomorrow during the special sitting.
Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu readies for a battle for his political career.
And also tonight,
Mimi naitwa Magoha sana Magoha, wewe unaitwa nani? Sasa kwa nini mtoto yako hajaenda shule?
the government's 100% transition policy dream.
Nimekaa sasa wiki moja nyumbani na sijapata school fees.
And the deferred dreams for the children, daunted by biting poverty.
Live from Nation Center, this is NTV Tonight with Smriti Vidyarthi and Mark Masai.
Thanks for joining us. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Flora Atieno.
To our top story, Embakasi East MP Babu Owino will spend the next 7 days in police custody awaiting a pre-bail report to be availed to the court.
The lawmaker pleaded not guilty in connection to the Friday morning shooting of a disc jockey at the B Club in Nairobi. Zainab Ismail with the details of the court proceedings.
He sat in the dock, calm, occasionally giving audience to his lawyers, a smile and a laughter a few times. The Embakasi East Member of Parliament, Peter Ongili, or Babu Owino as he is popularly known, has hired 7 lawyers to defend him, led by Cliff Ombeta. At the Milimani Law Courts, Babu Owino denied a charge of attempted murder for shooting Felix Orinda, popularly known as DJ Evolve, at B Club in Kilimani in Nairobi last Friday. He further denied a second charge of carrying a firearm while drunk and disorderly.
644 of 2017.
But the state, through prosecutor Jacob Ondari, opposed his release on bail on grounds that the legislator will interfere with witnesses.
Accused person has made attempts to reach some of the witnesses of this case, the father of the victim.
So you're being told he has started interfering with the father. Who is the father? What is his name? Because interfering with a witness then amounts to a criminal offense. So then the question would be, when did he do it and where? Because as again I said, Your Honor, these are just mere allegations without any backing.
Milimani Chief Magistrate Francis Ndai called for the victim's evidence to be presented in court before he can decide whether to release Babu on bond or not.
Given the gravity of the charges, and the victim's views have to be taken into account before the court arrives at a fair decision on whether or not to release the accused person on bond. And in the circumstances, I'll call for a bail report to be prepared by the probation department. The report shall contain the victim's views and may also contain other views from the accused person if he so wishes.
And I said the pre-bail report will determine whether a bail hearing will happen. CCTV footage from the club showed Babu apparently shooting the DJ while smoking shisha and surrounded by a group of people. The DJ is still at Nairobi Hospital, having undergone surgery to remove the bullet that was lodged in his neck. And further to that, according to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, 9 rounds of ammunition and a spent cartridge were recovered after the incident and have been placed as exhibit awaiting analysis by ballistic experts. The legislature will be held in the Nairobi Remand Prison until the 27th of January. Zainab Ismail, NTV.
A story involving MP Paul Ongili, otherwise known as Babu Owino, will definitely be something we keep an eye on. We may have identified him as Peter Ongili. He's actually Paul Ongili. Story is still top on our radar.
And as Babu Owino fights for his freedom after the B Club gun drama, notice has now been issued to all VIPs entitled to close protection by armed security personnel that they will lose that privilege if caught on the wrong side of the law.
In a notice published by the National Police Service, VIP holders of civilian arms will also have their weapons confiscated and licenses cancelled in case they are found to have abused their weapons and broken the law. These are some of the measures put in place to check abuse of firearms.
And as NTV's Ken Mujungu reports, though not a new measure, it may just go a long way in protecting unarmed citizens.
This notice, signed by the Director of Corporate Communication, National Police Service, Charles Wahongo, comes at the back of a near-fatal shooting of a disc jockey by Embakasi East Member of Parliament Babu Owino. The National Police Service warns those entitled to close protection that they will lose the privilege if found on the wrong side of the law until cleared by the court. This, however, is not new, since the VIPs, such as members of parliament, have always been denied bodyguards whenever they fall out of line. But this time round, the National Police Service is withdrawing their civilian firearms too, totally exposing them. This directive takes effect immediately. In the last 5 years alone, reported cases of misuse of firearms have risen considerably, with the latest being the one involving Babu Owino. He's not the only legislator to have been reported misusing a firearm. On the 16th of October last year, Malindi Member of Parliament Aisha Jumwa, alongside her supporters and aides, were arrested after a fatal shooting in her constituency hours before polls opened in a ward by-election. The case is still in court. On the 7th of February 2017, former nominated Senator Paul Njoroge shot at former Shell Managing Director Polycarp Igathe when he, together with the staff from Shell, attempted to repossess a petrol station under their franchise in Naivasha. It's not clear how this case concluded. A month later, on the 7th of March 2017, police stormed politician Jackson Kibo's home and arrested him for misusing his firearm. Kibo is said to have shot 3 times at his son Ezekiel a week earlier in a dispute over the farm near Eldoret. On the 31st of December 2016, one Chris Philip Okeo Obure was accused of threatening Ben Alila Onyango with a gun outside a club in Kilimani. The police confiscated his weapon but allegedly returned it to him after the case was resolved amicably. On the 16th of July 2014, one Paul Kobia shot and killed a suspected thug in a boat robbery along Limuru Road. In March of 2017, Kobia was however arrested after shooting in the air and allegedly abducting a Congolese national. On the 16th of March, one Kevin Obia had his firearm confiscated after he was caught on camera threatening a guard in Kileleshwa over a parking spot. It is estimated by the Geneva-based Small Arm Holders Survey that close to 1 million firearms are in the hands of private holders. Most of the private gun license holders are in Nairobi. In June last year, Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i cancelled all private firearm certificates, reconstituted the Firearm Licensing Board, and instructed fresh vetting before issuance. Last week, Matiang'i also suspended issuance of new firearm licenses to dealers. Ken Mijungu, NTV.
To another big story expected tomorrow, the stage is set for the Senate to discuss the impeachment of Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu. The Speaker of the Senate has promised a fair process when the motion is tabled on Tuesday.
Well, the debate comes as the governor's 588 million shilling corruption case was adjourned to early next month. NTV's Brenda Wanga with the details.
Governor Waititu's corruption case has been adjourned to the 6th of February, but instead of this being a break for him, he is now preparing for the fight of his political career.
The motion will be taken to the House tomorrow during the special sitting.
Tomorrow, he will be beginning the defense of his seat before the Senate when the motion for his impeachment finds its way to the floor of the House.
This is the committee that sets the agenda for the House, so they will be able to put this matter on the order paper.
The Senate has to decide whether the impeachment proceedings will be the business of a committee or of the whole plenary.
But that is a decision that's going to be made now in the House Business Committee. Then the motion will be taken to the House tomorrow during the special sitting. So that once the House then makes a decision whether it is committee, then they will have 10 days within which to report back the findings, and a vote will have to be taken by the House.
In the law, and therefore the motion has passed. Next order.
Waititu was impeached on the 19th of December 2019 by the Kiambu County Assembly on the grounds that he abated corruption, had direct conflict of interest involving his family, where he was accused of doing business with the county and of budgeting in the roads department for kickbacks. That motion was then forwarded to the Senate, but the Speaker only convened this special sitting way after the 10 days are stipulated in the standing orders. The Speaker says the Senate has found itself navigating uncharted waters.
There is no, we've never received an impeachment motion during when we are on recess. So there's a lacuna in law. I agree that there's a lacuna in law. Maybe that needs to be looked at in future.
The second part of Governor Ferdinand Waititu's impeachment will kick off tomorrow when the Senate sits to decide which route to take to pursue this mission. And even after that, the governor will have to wait for another 10 days before knowing what his fate will be. Brenda Wanga, NTV, Nairobi.
And in the meantime, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has filed an application seeking to recover the over 147 million shillings that had already been paid out to Testimony Company Limited for the upgrade of gravel roads in Kiambu County to bitumen standard.
The anti-graft body claims the 588 million shillings tender that has landed Waititu in trouble was irregularly awarded. The EACC presented evidence in court that Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu abused his office by directly influencing the tender process and awarded it to Testimony Limited.
The EACC says the company did not meet the minimum pre-qualification criteria and there's no proof that it had carried out similar works in the past.
Some leadership squabbles now. The High Court has suspended Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha's decision to revoke the appointment of Professor Stephen Kiama as the University of Nairobi's Vice Chancellor.
And the court also stopped Professor Isaac Mbeche's takeover as acting Vice Chancellor. NTV's Seth Olale reports that the court's decision follows that of the University Senate backing Magoha's decision.
19-year-old Lucy Wamboi from Dandora and an alumnus of Karatina Girls High School is among hundreds of first-year students enrolling for a course at the University of Nairobi.
I'm expecting by the end of the day that everything will be fine, that the process will be done and will be allocated to the hostels and we'll have to start the new life.
Few meters away from where the registration is ongoing, a special sitting of the university's Senate is underway with the aim of resolving a leadership crisis that has taken hold at the institution.
It was overwhelmingly decided that The Senate will support the directive by the CS, Professor George Magoha.
Sentiments backed by the university's academic staff union.
And we want to stand with the position of government as pronounced by the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Education, Professor George Magoha.
The Education CS insists that Professor Stephen Kiama's appointment as Vice Chancellor lacked merit.
The interviewing entity consults with the government. It is not an information process, it is consultation.
But the Employment and Labor Relations Court suspended Magoha's decision to revoke the appointment of Professor Stephen Kiama as Vice Chancellor. Judge Maureen Onyango also stopped Professor Isaac Mbeche from taking over as acting Vice Chancellor until the case Professor Kiama filed through his lawyer Fred Ngatia is heard on the 5th of February.
Kiwa kama na mfurutano hapa na pale, inaashiria kwamba management pia iko na haitaenda vizuri.
As the leadership wrangles persist, Wamboi and the other students enrolling at the institution hope their studies will not be affected by the squabbles at the helm.
The scheduled installation of Professor Stephen Kiama as the 8th Vice Chancellor of the University of Nairobi on Tuesday now seems uncertain following the Senate's decision to revoke Professor Stephen Kiama as the Vice Chancellor of the University of Nairobi. Seth Olale, NTV at the UoN main campus.
To the education front now, and the government's dream of achieving 100% transition to secondary schools appears dim, with only half of pupils who qualified to join Form 1 having reported to their respective schools. Some students have failed to take up their places due to a lack of fees, and those who adhered to the Education Cabinet Secretary's directive to go to school even if they didn't have the money were turned away. NTV's education reporter Sharon Baranga with more.
Mimi naitwa Magoha sana Magoha. Wewe unaitwa nani? Sasa kwa nini mtoto yako hajaenda shule?
The Education Cabinet Secretary was in Kibra following up on students who were yet to report to secondary school. He went to Old Kibra Primary School and made a call to Abednego Sangulu, an uncle to Josephine Nyandiwa who sat her KCPE exams at the school. Josephine was still at home for lack of school fees. She was then escorted to Currency Secondary School in Nairobi, where she was registered.
Nilikuwa tani nimeluza pia kusoma, lakini Mungu ni mwema sana.
We are just above 50% and we are wondering why most of the children have not reported to school. The Old Kibera Primary School where I went, a staggering 300 children have yet not reported to school in terms of taking their letters there to be authenticated.
In Sophia Village, Voi, Taita Taveta County, Alfred Shuma is still at home. Shuma was admitted to Kangema School in Murang'a, but his mother says they do not even have the bus fare to travel to his school. Shuma's sister, a student at Coast Girls in Mombasa, dropped out in Form 2 for lack of school fees. Their mother ekes out a living by doing laundry for neighbors.
Hakuna chenye nimepata cha kumpeleka shule. Nimejaribu apply scholarships, lakini hakuna yenye nilifaulu.
Derek Odhiambo from Langas is also stuck at home. Derek scored 406 and was called to Kamsinga High School. His mother cannot afford his school fees. Jocelyn Aluoch, also from Langas, is not sure whether she will be joining high school. She has been called to Bora Girls, but she doesn't have the money.
My single mother does not have the money to take me there.
So I like to be a surgeon, and the reason of to be a surgeon because I see many people suffering.
Unlike the other students, Victor Kemboy from Elgeyo Marakwet County took a step of faith and went to the school he has been admitted to, but he was turned away at Marakwet Boys for lack of school fees. The school's administration informed him that he can only be admitted once he paid.
Nimekaa sasa wiki moja nyumbani na sijapata school fees.
The school's decision goes against the directive by CS Magoha to heads of school that they admit all students, including those without money. The money issue threatens to kill the dreams of a young nation and at the same time cripple the government's dream of achieving 100% transition of students to secondary schools. Sharon Baranga, NTV.
From those deferred dreams to an attack that was thwarted, a Nairobi court has allowed anti-terror police to hold 5 terror suspects for 8 days to enable completion of investigations. The 5 were arrested while on a suspected surveillance mission at a local entertainment spot. Anita Nkonge tells us more.
The 5 suspects, Mohammed Hassan, Mohammed Adan, Hodan Abdi, Ifra Mohammed, and Abbas Mohammed, appeared at the Milimani courts before resident magistrate Abdul Zainibu, where the prosecution applied to be allowed 15 more days to complete investigations. The court was informed that the electronic gadgets seized during the suspect's arrest needed to undergo forensic examination and a report obtained for analysis. An affidavit by the investigating officer Vincent Mutai states that the 5 were arrested on January 18, 2020 in Eastleigh Section 1 after being trailed by police officers from Whiskey Rivers pub in Embu County. Police who were on patrol duties arrested the suspects who were using a Toyota Vitz vehicle and handed them to the anti-terror police unit. Police believe the suspects were on a mission to collect information for purposes of carrying out a terrorist attack. One of the suspects, Mohammed Aden, who is a Kenyan national, is said to have been in constant communication with other suspects who are yet to be arrested. Hassan, Hodan, and Ifra are suspected to be Somali nationals and they do not have identification documents. Anita Nkonge, NTV.
Security has been beefed up in Lamu following reports that another group of Al-Shabaab militants had been sighted in Mokoe area. Residents say they had reported seeing about 6 militants armed with AK-47 rifles and who are carrying a green flag. And this comes just a day after authorities yesterday repulsed a group of about 50 militants who were planning to attack Pandango village in Waititu division.
Tension is building up in Mokoe, Lamu County, a community unsettled by what they say was the sighting of a group of Al-Shabaab militants around the township on Sunday afternoon. 2 locals reported to the police that they had seen a group of militants armed with AK-47 rifles. The group was moving along the ocean shores heading towards Majengo area. Security officers were immediately dispatched to counter the would-be rabble-rousers. But there are fears that the suspected militants could have disappeared into the dense bony forest. Now the boats have been deployed to the troubled area to join in the search.
Kama mkaaji inanipa kuwa na matumaini, sisiwe na matumaini ya kukaa hapa sababu kama nimetoka mbali ninahofia maisha ya usalama yangu.
Na huo msitu wa huko nao ni mkubwa, hata hatujui tukienda utapata adui ama yule ambaye ni askari hata hujui, manake ni msitu. Barabara yetu nao ni hii ni mbaya, hata mashambulizi yakianza, hata maaskari wakitumwa hapa kufika huko ni shida kubwa sana.
On Sunday, authorities reported that KDF forces and GSU officers had successfully prevented an attack on Pandanguo village in Waititu division. Residents claim a group of Al-Shabaab attackers numbering about 50 had first encountered a farmer tending to his crop, but they then interrogated him for close to 20 minutes on the area's state of security before releasing him and proceeding to the village. Police managed to push back the intruders after a 5-hour gun battle.
Mpaka sasa hivi hatujapata habari kamili kuhusu ndugu zetu, kuna madada zetu wako hali zao zinaendelea namna gani kuhusu usalama wao mpaka sasa.
Milipuko tulikuwa tunasikia na hofu pia ilikuwa imetanda sehemu za kule. Kwa hivyo kwa upande wetu nasema serikali kidogo ni iongezwe.
Lamu has been the scene of several attacks and attempts by the Al-Shabaab, the last one taking place a fortnight ago near an army base camp. Residents are now calling on the government to beef up security and coordinate with locals who may have crucial leads on the troublemakers. Kevin Mutai, NTV, Mombasa.
Kevin Mutai's piece brings us to our first break here on NTV tonight. It's 22 minutes past the hour, but we're still continuing.
To stay with us, here's what you can expect after this break.
But working with him.
The Council of Governors chooses its leaders, and it's all about securing the future of the BBI. We'll explain shortly after this.
Who wants to answer? Mary?
Mary has a toothache.
Oh, I see. And who knows why?
Because her tooth is too big.
No, it might be a hole in her tooth called a cavity. That's why I brush twice a day using Colgate.
Imagine this is your tooth and these are food acids that cause cavities. Colgate with calcium and fluoride helps prevent cavities
For maximum cavity protection. And now available in a 12-gram sachet for fresh breath. Only 15 shillings.
I am pleased by just the simple little things of life. And I promise if you take the time, you won't be looking for too long before you find this little secret of mine. Chasing taste. Let's just grab a bite, the excuse to drink Coca-Cola every single day. So we feel forever be real, together stay free, whatever ends. No, we can't stop, we wanna taste the feeling. Nothing can ever bring us down. Taste the feeling.
Your multi-bet is on its way to hit the bullseye. Oh, you lose one match, but only in Mozart. Mozart Refund, lose one game, get your cash back. Make a decision. Terms and conditions apply.
Every day, NTV News team moves you to the center of the action.
The security forces who took part in this operation.
Police are not taking anything to chance it.
Moves you to the heart of the story to witness and record history.
Rendering the declared results null and void.
Telling the story of Kenya.
The growing importance of border in Mandera.
Matatus will be on strike.
And beyond.
The politics in the United States capital.
It is the 7th edition of the Global Education taking place in Dubai.
When it comes to business, we crunch the numbers and unpack the detail with the latest information for your investment decision.
It's time to say goodbye to this note and karibu to this note.
In order for the manufacturing sector to be elevated from the ground.
Despite the government's promise to create at least 1.3 million jobs.
Moves you fast past the planes and trucks to bring you the triumphs and joys of our great men and women.
Moving stories that touch our hearts.
I didn't know that I could go back to school.
The Back to School program has brought hope to these young mothers.
NTV News. News that moves you.
Anti-bus.
Maybe you're not putting us on a TV show.
That ship already sailed when you got involved with me.
Nina, you're hired. Yay!
Welcome to the family.
Why are you so obsessed with putting your life out there?
Haya, kwani ni wewe?
Aye, what a coincidence.
Wewe unanifuata?
Are you sure? Ni wewe ama ni mimi nakufuata?
Mr. Mayweather Odhiambo.
You are under arrest.
What?
Denarius, son of my mother. Denarius.
Anti-bus.
Welcome back to NTV tonight and to the politics of BBI, of the very latest on it. The Council of Governors has voted to retain its current leadership and use it to spearhead the Building Bridges Initiative campaigns.
According to sources within the meeting, the council, led by Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya, it is best suited to drive the BBI agenda, which they believe will not only serve the county's interests, but the interests of governors seeking a second term of office.
NTV's political affairs reporter, Kennedy Morevi, with the details.
Forward to working with him.
The 8th edition of the governor's elections did not witness the jostling associated with previous duels, as they unanimously endorsed the current team to continue with their job. Kakamega's Wycliffe Oparanya will stay on as the chairperson, with Muranga's Mwangi Wairia as his deputy. NTV, however, understands that the team has many proponents of the Building Bridges initiative who have already come out to clearly state their position on the document as is, or in the amended form, if it comes to that. Though non-committal, the chairperson Oparanya said the BBI talk was still work in progress, but other governors hold the document now subject to a national discussion with their endorsement.
I'm calling a council meeting in 2 weeks' time so that we actually take a position and we make our contribution to the PPI report.
The role of the new team now is to push the BBI agenda and leverage on the regional blocks to cement their position.
And we, again, as national government, we pledge our support in putting in place the necessary legal and policy framework to enable the regional economic blocks be operationalized, be strengthened, and be magnets of private sector investment.
According to sources within the COG, the BBI report has some sweeteners for all, that is, for first-time governors and those serving their final term, see the current document, or when amended, as their surest bet to remain relevant after they leave office.
I think we should go to the next level of regional premiers so that then we can create and harness these leadership skills, because the second-term governors surely have experience, have wealth of knowledge in developed factions, and they do need to remain within.
Even governors allied to Deputy President William Ruto are said to be satisfied with the adoption of the report, but they do not want to be seen on the front line campaigning for it for fear of backlash.
So we urge everybody to support the Building Bridges initiative that proposes an alternative gender rule for the county level, where the governor is a male, the deputy is a female, and when the governor is a female, the deputy is a male.
Immediately after the closed-door elections and meeting, Coast governors led by Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho rushed to meet ODM leader Raila Odinga to brief him on the goings-on and plan for the Coast edition of the BBI rallies.
Because it's not a question of if, it's a question of when the BBI now becomes a reality, then we expect better delivery in most of those sectors that we are representing as chairs.
Despite the leadership of the council not changing, there were subtle messages of the regional economic blocs being turned into advocates of the BBI report, as they do aim to implement it in its entirety or with some of the changes that may be proposed. Kennedy Moreidi, NTV in Nairobi County.
Elsewhere now, and residents of Embu East sub-county are living in fear owing to a rise in cases of insecurity in the area. 3 people were killed last night and 3 others were hospitalized after robbers attacked 2 bars, one in Nduri village and another in Gishera village.
Residents say such attacks are common and are calling on the government to bring back the Nyumba Kumi initiative and enhance security outposts. The Embu East Sub-County Deputy County Commissioner George Omolo said investigations are ongoing and asked residents to report any suspicious activity.
Na uanga tunaripoti kila mahali, hakuna sheria uanga inachukuliwa. Sasa sisi wenyewe tunaomba serikali ama chief arudishe ile nyumba 10 ndio tuweze kujifanyia security yetu sisi wenyewe. Juu kwa sasa watu wakianza kuuawa hapa kama busi, hatutakubali. Hata sisi hapo ndio watu ama wanaiji ama wakaaji wanakujanga wanachukua security mikononi yao.
Cha maana ni kwamba tumepata majina ya washukiwa na uchunguzi bado inaendelea. Kama kuna wengine tutakuja kuwapata, lakini hakuna mtu ameshikwa mpaka saa hii.
All right, it is 1:30. You're watching NTV tonight. Time for another breather, but Julian Zamboko joins us first in studio.
It's all about the money.
Absolutely. We'll be taking a look at the day's business and looking at some of the deals which have been happening in the United Kingdom. Of course, the President and the team from the Treasury is in London signing some deals. That and more coming up after the break. It has been a day of signing multi-billion shilling business deals in the United Kingdom. We tell you which sectors are being targeted after the break.
Your multi-bet is on its way to hit the bullseye. Oh, you lose one match, but only in Mozart. Mozart Refund, lose one game, get your cash back. Make a decision. Terms and conditions apply.
Je, maumivu ya kichwa na kukosesha amani? Kaluma Strong hutuliza maumivu ya kichwa, maumivu ya mwili na hata huondoa joto jingi mwilini. Kaluma Strong ina aspirin kama kiungo. Maumivu yakizidi, muone daktari.
With Lipa na M-Pesa, you get more.
Lipa na M-Pesa.
More convenience.
Do more with M-Pesa.
More ease. More flexibility. And now you can win apartments, tractors with extras, plus surprise gifts to 8 customers every minute. Make payments via M-Pesa Buy Goods or Pay Bill. Every 100 shillings spent on Lipa na M-Pesa earns you an entry into the draw. Do more with Lipa na M-Pesa.
Eldoret Technical Training Institute (ETTI) is a student-centered institution offering competency-based training and market-driven courses at higher diploma, and certificate level. Registration for January, May and September 2020 intakes is ongoing in the following programs: Building and Civil Engineering, Business Administration and Commerce, Agriculture and Animal Health, Travel, Tourism and Hospitality Management, Education, Social Studies, Information Communication Technology, Accounting, Banking and Finance, Medical and Health Sciences, Journalism and Mass Communication. Apply now. SMS your details to the numbers on your screen. Eldoret Technical Training Institute. Growing reputation.
It's a new look on the only name in business. Welcome, I am Julian Zamboko. Kenya has bagged more than 170 billion shillings worth of investment deals in renewable energy, housing and entrepreneurship with the United Kingdom at the UK Africa Summit in London. Victor Kiprop has the details.
According to a statement by the British High Commission in Kenya, the agreement between Kenya and the UK will see Kenya benefit from, among other things, a 3.9 billion shillings investment in affordable energy-efficient housing, which will see the construction of 10,000 low-carbon homes for rent and sell.
How can we fund some of these opportunities when it comes to solar, when it comes to geothermal and other forms of power? Because as you know, with the Big Four, one of the things that we will have to do is build new cement plants, new glass, steel, aluminium.
Kenya began the negotiations day on a high note, with President Uhuru Kenyatta officiating the commencement of trading of the country's first corporate green bond at the London Stock Exchange.
Kenya is at this stage of its development in which it is focusing on getting blended finance, more of foreign direct investment, more of equity financing, rather than focusing on the model of just debt for projects.
With only 10 days before the UK parts ways with its largest trading partner, the European Union, the Boris Johnson-led government is looking to woo African countries as it seeks new trade and investment deals in an attempt to close the trade gap that will be left by Brexit. But realistically, this presents a daunting task, as at 2018, Africa accounted for only 3% of both of the UK's trade flows, compared to the European Union, which accounted for 53% of its exports and 62% of its imports. The UK is also coming late into the fray, with China now standing as Africa's largest trading partner. Japan, the United States, and recently Russia have all sought to strengthen their ties with Africa through similar summits. Victor Kiprop, NTV Business.
Let's come back to Kenya, where budgets are tighter. The National Treasury says it is conducting an audit of all tax exemptions between 2015 and 2019 in a bid to identify instances where a single exemption was used multiple times. This comes as the government seeks to seal revenue leakages. A week after the Tax Appeals Tribunal issued judgments paving the way for the Kenya Revenue Authority to collect 11.1 billion shillings in disputed tax amounts, the government has revealed that it is conducting a comprehensive audit of all tax exemptions extended over the last 5 years. According to the draft budget policy statement published by the National Treasury, this audit is among the raft of measures being undertaken by the government in a bid to boost its revenue mobilization efforts. Other measures being adopted include adoption of a consolidator framework to enhance the traceability of imports entering the country and their compliance with the stipulated duties, integration of scanners to address instances of misdeclaration by traders, and fast-tracking tax appeals tribunal cases which are estimated to have 53.6 billion shillings in disputed tax amounts. The audit of tax exemptions should bring under the spotlight entities such as the non-profit organizations, which upon approval by relevant bodies enjoy exemptions on income tax and value-added tax. This comes even as the draft budget policy statement indicates that the government expects to raise 1.9 trillion shillings in ordinary revenue in the period between July 2020 and June 2021, a downward revision from the earlier projection of 2.1 trillion shillings. And on to matters of agriculture, sugarcane farmers drawn from the Western Belt are calling on the Agriculture CS Peter Munya to now focus on restructuring the sector by giving farmers an opportunity to corroborate the soon-to-be-released Sugar Task Force report. The farmers under the Kenya National Alliance of Sugarcane Farmers Organizations say that the government task force was manipulated by cartels reigning in Kinjuri's regime. The move saw the farmers form a parallel task force protesting some of the recommendations proposed by the government-appointed task force, such as the formation of sugar zoning policy. They are now calling on the government to write off debts owed by collapsing public millers and reconstitute the boards of various sugar factory mills. This happens in the background of cane sales dropping by 1 billion shillings in 2019 due to the closure of more of the top 5 milling farms in the country, grappling with a shortage of raw material.
Maziwa hawana zoning, majani haina zoning. Kwa nini miwa ikakuwa na zoning na ndio inatoa sukari?
The issue of zoning must be replaced with contractual farming. That was the essence of the public participation, and that's what farmers wanted.
And staying with agriculture, devolving agricultural functions fully as prescribed by the Constitution would help the country to better combat emerging challenges such as the ongoing locust menace. According to the Council of Governors Agriculture Chairperson Muthomi Njuki, this would strengthen emergency response at the county level through robust extension services.
The Ministry of Agriculture works very closely with the COG, especially because agriculture is devolved and 80% of the activities of agriculture and planning take place at the counties. It is only that the part on the legislation is normally anchored at the national level because we need uniformity all over the country. And my personal promise that I will lead my committee to cooperate and deliver even those that were seen to be far-fetched in terms of goals in agriculture sector.
And elsewhere, financial and economic analysts at Stanbic Bank project that the economy will grow by 5.9% in 2020, slightly higher than the 5.6% they estimated for 2019. Stanbic believes that Kenya's fiscal position is the biggest threat to the medium-term macroeconomic stability. Alex Mwangi with the details.
Many economic analysts are in consensus that the repeal of the interest rate cap is expected to give economic growth this year a much-needed shot in the arm. At Stanbic Bank, there is mounting concern on the need for greater effort towards fiscal consolidation.
because we believe there will be a significant shortfall just from looking at the tax revenue targets. The fiscal deficit will be much higher than the 6.2% of GDP that the government expects. But going into the fiscal year 2020-2021, it's a pre-election budget, broadly speaking. So consolidation will be very hard to sell to investors, let alone what you put on paper.
The dangers of failing to address fiscal consolidation this season could eventually lead to more pain for Kenyans.
If we don't sort our fiscal issues, we're going to have a very unpredictable taxation regime. It could entail, taxes that would hamper productive sectors.
The target for the manufacturing sector is to have its contribution to GDP grow to 15% by 2022 from the current level, which is less than 10%. This is, however, easier said than done.
The execution of that could fall short based on the timeline, not based on it ever happening, just based on the timeline.
Kenya risks finding itself slipping backwards in the quest to become industrialized by the year 2030, even as her neighbors such as Uganda and Ethiopia accelerate their quest to lower the cost of power in a bid to attract investors. Stanbic Bank believes there will be a 50 to 100 basis points cut in the central bank rate sometime later in the year. Alex Mwangi, NTV.
And the new Kenya Cooperative Creameries plans on expanding its facility in Nanyuki to process goat and camel milk from next year after increasing its production line to include goat and camel milk, whose nutritional value has seen a spike in demand in the market amid low supply. Currently, a litre of goat milk retails at an average of 200 shillings, buoyed by scarcity in the market. This announcement at the back of the demands of farmers in Nyandarua County to the state processor to buy goat milk from them following an increase in the production of the same. Traditionally, cow milk has been preferred for mass processing.
Tukianza kuuza maziwa yetu, tungependa serikali tusaidie kwa soko.
The serikali, perhaps through the KCC, to just buy the milk from also the goats, like they buy from the cows, because in doing that you have diversified what we can do, and even farmers with half an acre, a quarter of an acre, can actually be able to earn a living from this goat.
And up next is a financial report. And that takes us to the close of business. I hand you over back to Mark and Smriti.
And that story about the billions expected from the UK-Africa Summit, not necessarily something to celebrate just yet.
Well, we wait for the fine print, so we get to know the detail in terms of the loans, grants. Some are concessional, some are not. So we wait for that once the details come in.
Anyway, thank you, Julian.
Julian, thanks very much. All right, well, that is your business news, but here is what's coming up after the break. Do stay with us. Blogger Cyprian Nyakundi has another run-in with the law. We'll tell you what this one's about after this commercial break.
Prepare yourself for a new live bet experience. Top minute, boosted live bet odds. Mozart, make a decision.
Simba Corporation is a very diversified business group. We started this business as a used car dealer, so we were owning 50% of AVA up to 2017. We needed to acquire the balance of the 50%. We needed financing of $8 million. Barclays was very fast in coming up with a solution. It is not only about lending money, it's about sitting down with us. What are your needs? How fast can we work? In essence, they helped us acquire a 100% company, which is going to be now locally owned by ourselves.
With the branch that we make here locally, we've created a lot of technology importation, which is benefiting locals here.
For us in corporate investment banking, we partner with our customers to help them bring their possibilities to life. And as we transition into ABSA, it's a strength that will continue to underpin the way we do business with our clients by ensuring that we are not only solutioning for the corporate customers we serve, but their entire ecosystems.
Do you have what it takes to become the next generation of great innovators, business magnates, corporate icons, engineers, and renowned researchers? Be part of over 40,000 students pursuing and nurturing their career at Moi University. Enroll now for January, May, and September 2020 intakes for postgraduate, degree, and diploma programs in the following schools: School of Business and Economics, School of Arts and Social Sciences, School of Information Sciences, School of Education, School of Agriculture and Natural Resources, School of Biological and Physical Sciences, School of Tourism, Hospitality and Events Management, School of Aerospace Science, School of Public Health, School of Medicine, School of Engineering, School of Law, School of Nursing, School of Dentistry. Enroll now. Moi University, the foundation of knowledge.
Kwa majina ni Shida Gesanga. Mimi ni mchezaji tu. Ndoto yangu mimi iko nitachezea Harambee Starlets niende ngambo. Nikirudi nitasaidia mamangu kwa shida. Na ninaona hii ndoto itaanza na betika na community.
Hii timu yenye hii msichana yangu anachezea, tulianza tukiwa na maono, tunataka tukuze talents ya wasichana, sababu wasichana huwa wanabaki nyuma na wanaenda ma streets.
We are very excited because every time we see the excited faces of the young players when they get their kids and their new balls, it gives us a urge to continue investing in the communities.
Betika na community iliongeza morali kwa timu ya Gusii Starlets mpaka wakapiwa mtu mabao 23. Tukiwa na Betika na community, hii timu itaenda mbali, itacheza premier na watoto watajisaidia.
Welcome back. Police have arrested blogger Cyprian Andama Nyakundi and one Emmanuel Nyamoya Ongera on allegations of extortion, blackmail and false accusations.
The Directorate of Criminal Investigation said via its Twitter page that detectives from Gigiri arrested the two after successful investigations on blackmail and false accusations.
The agency said the two had received 1 million shillings from one of their victims. The money was down payment for some 17.5 million shillings they had earlier demanded as a precondition for pulling down libelous posts appearing on a website they own. The recovered money will be used as exhibits.
Well, they were both taken to the Gigiri police station and will be arraigned on Tuesday. And blogger Nyakundi is not new to controversy. In December 2018, politician Steve Mbogo and his wife Sabrina Jamal sued him for defamatory content on his site.
Some international news now. Malaysia has sent back 150 containers of plastic waste to 13 predominantly rich countries since the third quarter last year, with the Environment Minister warning that those who want to make the country a global waste bin can dream on.
Of the 150 containers, 43 were returned to France, 42 to the United Kingdom, 17 to the United States, 11 to Canada, 10 to Spain, and the rest to Hong Kong, Japan, Singapore, Portugal, China, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Lithuania.
The minister said the successful repatriation of a total of 3,737 metric tons of waste followed strict enforcement of at key Malaysian ports to block smuggling of waste and shuttering more than 200 illegal plastic recycling factories. Another 110 containers are expected to be sent back by the middle of this year.
Elsewhere, two Papuan activists on trial for treason in Indonesia's capital decried what they described as racism after the court ordered them to remove traditional penis cords.
Mama yangu. The Jakarta hearing descended into a standoff as the panel refused to proceed until the men put on pants. The second time their native garb led to delays in the trial of a total of 6 activists.
Well, after several hours of negotiations, the pair, also wearing Papuan headgear with their faces painted and the words monkey scrawled on their bodies, grudgingly agreed to put on trousers.
Papua has seen several spasms of violence in recent months, including deadly unrest partly linked to a fresh push for independence and racism against Papuans who have been called monkeys and other slurs.
All right, let's shift to focus now from that story and move on to the sports news. Ida Waringa joins us now in studio. Ida, good to have you with us. And interestingly, there is a link with the boxer Floyd Mayweather and a Kenyan.
Exactly that. It's pretty interesting times. Very interesting exports we have as well from Kenya to the world. We'll let you know about that. And yeah, definitely everyone knows about American boxer Floyd Mayweather. But as Smriti said, did you know that there is a Kenyan connection to his camp? Well, we will be talking about all that and more after the break. See you in a bit. Everyone knows about American boxer Floyd Mayweather, but did you know that some of his success can be attributed to a Kenyan? More after the break.
Breathable surface developed with Airsoft technology is very soft and provides the best Molfix skincare.
I found the best diaper for my baby's sensitive skin.
All babies deserve a high-quality diaper. You should also try Molfix.
Did you know? We are a leading African banking group with over 1,000 branches and almost 10,000 ATMs across the continent. Absa Group, serving Kenya as Barclays.
Kupika kila mtu ajipikie yake. Na vyombo za nani? Kwa nani?
Am I not getting some?
Ice cream ya wageni. Wewe nitakuletea maji kwa jikoni.
A girl's gotta eat to keep up with you, Mr. Guns.
Well, that's absolutely correct.
This festive season, get a decoder with subscription at an unbelievable festive offer of only 1,499 shillings. You can also pay 1 month and enjoy 2 weeks free on a higher bouquet. For more information, call 0719 077 077.
Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
Prepare yourself for a new live bet experience. Top Minute, boosted live bet odds. Mozart, make a decision.
Anti-boss. Mayweather, you're not putting us on a TV show.
That ship already sailed when you got involved with me.
Minda, you're hired. Yay!
Welcome to the family. Why are you so obsessed with putting your life out there?
Haya, kwani ni wewe?
Aye? What a coincidence.
Wewe unanifuata?
Are you sure? Ni wewe ama ni mimi nakufuata?
Mr. Mayweather Odhiambo.
You are under arrest.
What? Denarius, Lord, son of my mother. Denarius.
Anti-boss.
NTV Sport in association with Mozart Bet. SMS NTV to 29990.
And time to play. Well, the disorganization in sports management at both national and devolved levels has resulted in some stakeholders taking matters into their own hands. The latest being National Super League side Moranga Seal FC, who unveiled a brand new pitch after the local government's failure to develop a standard playing field in Moranga County. Martin Moira with that report.
Moranga Seal might have lost 2-1 to Shabana FC in the National Super League on Sunday, but unveiling of the ground on which the game was played was a victory in itself for the Central Bay side. The second tier football club is putting up a 350 million shilling playing and training facility dubbed St. Sebastian Park that will also have an academy to develop talent.
This is a new place and you can see the number of people who turn up here. So going forward, we expect that we'll have more people here. We expect that as we begin the school in January next year, also we'll have people from all over the country and beyond, bringing their talented kids here for training and who knows, maybe the next Messi will come from here. We don't have funding of that nature, so we are doing it slowly by slowly. We can see that we don't have the stands. So if you can get some few people who can come and build their own stands and then have the naming rights for that stand, they are welcome.
Administrators are hopeful that the project, which was started in 2018, will be complete in the next 3 years. While initial county plans were to have Mumbi Stadium as the main football venue, Kiaro and Hura stadiums have been the go-to for many teams training in the area.
Tumekuwa na shida kama tunatrainia kama pale Ihura, kuna vumbi, mahoma pia kwa wachezaji, za zingine kiwanja pia kuna sauna sikia inatumika maybe kwa vitu zingine, so unapata zingine hata tu train. Kuna kama last year kuna karibu wiki moja tu siku moja juu uwanja ilikuwa booked. Kwa hivyo sasa nasikia na furaha sana. Hatiza plan mazoezi yangu hapa na the whole week bila any interruption kutoka mtu yote.
The visiting Shabana FC, whose country-run Gusii Stadium is the envy of many top-tier clubs, was full of praise for Seal's effort.
Although tumeshinda, lakini nataka kumshukuru because si watu wote wanaweza nunua shamba na wanajenga kiwanja, because we have some governors ambao hawaelewi nini wanafanya.
As were the fans.
Tunapenda game, ukiona wale mashabiki wamejaa hapa kutoka Moranga Town, wameripa fare, wameripa kila kitu. Tulikuwa tunaenda Thika, saa hii tunakuja hapa. Tuko Moranga. Wacha tuone serikali yetu ikiajibika kwa hii timu yetu ya Moranga MC.
So italeta maendeleo sana katika hii kijiji na pia itainua uchumi juu mashamba sasa tutakuwa tunauza kwa bei ya juu na pia biashara itainuka.
The responsibility taken on by the second tier side to improve their playing condition is sure to be a challenge to the relevant authorities. Martin Mora, NTV, Moranga County.
Well, brilliant initiative there. Pity about the lack of government support. And there are a few corners of the world where the name Floyd Mayweather wouldn't be recognized, including here in Kenya, where the professional boxer draws a pretty decent following. But did you know that a Kenyan, Douglas Okola, is part of Money Mayweather's team? Joshua Mokori tells us more.
Growing up in Nairobi's Eastlands area, Douglas Okola never thought he could one day be part of the world's highest paid athletes team.
Nimelelewa huko Eastlando na maisha pia uko unajua venye maisha kidogo ni ngumu, maisha ya ugeto kidogo, mambo mengi zinapitia kidogo, pia lazima ukue tu ile maisha unaonekana mtafu kidogo tu. Hivyo ndio venye dondi yangu ilianzia na ikakua nikajipata nimecheza amateur, nikasonga nikatana mpaka professional, nikacheza mchezo za pro kadhaa, pia nikapata nafasi za kwenda nje Europa. So kuanzia hapo hivyo ndo pia nikapata nafasi mpaka nimefika Amerika.
The former matatu conductor is a sparring partner in a professional boxer Floyd Mayweather's Money Team camp.
Ni venye nilijitolea kwa gym, tuna show up, kila kitu tunafanya kwa bidii mpaka ikapaki time nimepata chance ya kufanya sparring naye. Hapo nilijiprove right na ikabaki nimeingia katikati hiyo community ya Floyd Mayweather. Mpaka sasa bado tunashughulika na bado niko kwa game.
Mayweather might draw global mixed reactions, but Okola thinks differently on his boss.
Jamaa mkuu, jamaa yuko positive, ana work hard, talent yake iko juu, is all about experience. So kuwa close na nadhani ni kitu imenifaa. Juu hata venye nilitoka hapa hivi kidogo, boxing imeenda ikabadilika. Kiakili kuna venye nimebadili, kuna venye nafikiria niko hapo kwa ring. So kuna mabadiliko mengi, nadhani ni kitu imenisaidia sana pande ya boxing.
It has been a long journey for the 38-year-old who turned up pro in 2005 in the light heavyweight division. Okola would ultimately like to take what he has learned and bring it home.
But sasa pia nataka niangalie pia nyumbani, nimefikiria nyumbani pia nadhani kuna mavijana pia tunaweza inua. Mali nimefika pia wajaribu kufika mali nimefika. Nikusaidiana tunakuona venye tunainua mayouth.
Kama itakuwa mzuri kwa majuu mali yuko, atusaidie pia. Kwa hiyo kambi ya Mayweather juu kuna watu, kuna Wakenya huko. Tunafurahia sana akiwa huko. Watu wanajua kumbe kuna Kenya, kuna mabondia. So pia yeye achukue wengine apeleke huko. Then pia kuna plan nzuri sana za kuanza akademi yake. Tutasaidiana tunaye hapa.
Aswa kule nje wametushinda kwa vitu kadhaa. Juu kuna venye pia huko nadhani wanadhamini mavijana. Hizi mambo za matalanta. Talent hizi enda tu hivyo bure. Kuna venye serikali itasaidia. Hata kama si serikali utapata kuna watu binafsi watajitolea na kuwasaidia mayouth.
From Kenya to the world. Yoshua Makori, NTV Sport.
There's inspiration pretty much everywhere you look, if you look hard enough. Let's move on. In the battle for top 6 playoff qualification in the Kenya Cup seems set with only 5 rounds remaining. Leaders Kabras and champions KCB's push for home semi-final qualification intensified with both teams winning over the weekend. Homeboys' 37-11 victory over nondescripts saw them consolidate third place with 44 points. Impala cruised past Menengai Oilers at 37-29 to sit fourth with a 5-point advantage over fifth-placed Oilers. Black Bloods' 44-0 win over Western Bulls helped them climb out of the relegation zone, swapping places with Bulls despite both sides being level on points. Well, away from the Kenya Cup, this year's Safari Sevens will take place from October 23rd through to 25th at the RFUEA grounds. This, according to the Kenya Rugby Union. And the Kenya Police dominated the just concluded Taifa Open Individual Karate Championships at Greenwood Academy in Mombasa. Swale Abdallah, Joshua Mahara, and Elijah Wanyeri from Police scooped the top 3 in the men's novice kumite category. Labib Said of Munawar Club won the men's senior kata category, while Samuel Findaseo from MKU and Hamed Tofik of Munawar were second and third, respectively. Selina Atieno from Skylife Nakuru excelled in the women's kumite category, while Beatrice Mkamburi and Caroline Nasimiu from Kenya Police and Self-Defense Club were second and third, respectively. The 2-day tournament was used to select a team to represent Kenya at the Dubai International Championships at the end of this month.
Match 4, Fidesio Samuel, Hamed Tofik.
Internationally, Cristiano Ronaldo's brace gave Italian champions Juventus a 2-1 victory against Parma at the Allianz Stadium. Ronaldo opened the scoring 2 minutes before halftime with a deflected effort of Matteo Darmian. For sports, I am handing it over to Mark and Smriti.
Thank you, Waringa, for the sports, and yes, for wrapping up NTV tonight. And as you can see, yes, some changes that you can expect, and we will be giving you much more in the weeks to come. Pole pole, mos, and one of them is also actually change of programming. I would normally be preparing for Press Pass.
That's right,
at this
but
hour.
that switches now.
Yes.
Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. you can catch Mark Masai on Press Pass.
Yes, and much more from our news team, of course. We are working, it's the entire team. It's not just the two of us that you see. A lot goes into making sure a bulletin is out there and reaches you.
That's right. So do be sure to stay tuned to NTV and keep an eye on our changes. Give us feedback too on our hashtag, or I beg your pardon, our Twitter handle at NTV Kenya. But for now, that's where we wrap it up. Thanks to our sign language interpreter, and thanks to you for watching. I'm Smriti Vidyarthi. Good night.
And I'm Mark Masai. Good night.